Hey guys, it's Counselor Jay. I've been away for a couple of weeks now. Apologies about that. I do intend to come back to a regular every Monday type of upload. I'm knock on wood. I'm hoping to do that, especially with the Common app and the UC app, along with, I'm assuming, the Coalition and Universal app being opened as of August 1st today. What I wanted to cover, though, is a bit more of essay support. I see students, you should be, if you're a rising senior, working on some essays or at least exposing yourself to some more media content, YouTube guides about essays. If not, you should get on that. You're in the right place. Today, I wanted to show you how some students may benefit more by this style of learning, where what I mean by this style is they're going on YouTube and they're listening to speeches. So famous speeches, speeches related to your major choice, related to your life values, speeches made by CEOs, speeches made by Nobel Peace Prize winners, etc. An area of speeches that I feel is underutilized is college or school, general school commencement speeches. They can be pretty powerful. And I had to share with you my favorite example of this. I was introduced to this maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I want to share this, listen along with you guys. I'll provide the link of this exact video below. But yeah, I wanted to pause. I'm going to pause in between, and I'm going to try to explain to you kind of from a student essay writing format, let's say for a personal statement for college, or perhaps maybe an open-ended prompt, whether it's for Harvard, U Chicago, Princeton, Stanford, what matters to you and why, or Yale and other schools that are similar to that type of response. Let's get started.
Graduate English Address, The Spider's Bite. Candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Jiang.
All right, let's see what he has to say.
When I was in middle school, a poisonous spider bit my right hand. I ran to my mom for help, but instead of taking me to a doctor, my mom set my hand on fire.
So it starts off, when I was in middle school, he's bit by a spider. So it's like a very very non-significant event in the scope of things. Sometimes students think that they have to have a significant tragedy, some crazy life situation. He was bit by a spider. And then the way he ends that, he creates this, it's like a duality of a sense of humor. It's also a duality of like just abruptness, stuntedness. It's like, what? Can you explain what's going on? Like, what? Your mom set your hand on fire? So that intro to me was so simple, yet so effective.
After wrapping my hand with several layers of cotton, then soaking it in wine, she put a chopstick into my mouth and ignited the cotton. Heat quickly penetrated the cotton and began to roast my hand. The searing pain made me want to scream, but the chopstick prevented it. All I could do was watch my hand burn. 1 minute, then 2 minutes, until my mom put out the fire.
Interesting next follow-up. There's a lot of detail in that, right? The chopstick, it's very visual, the imagery, the details, the chopstick in the put it in the mouth, and just 1 minute, then 2 minutes. There's in a musical, if any of you guys had musical training, there's there's staccato, where it's like an abruptness, a burst. And so 1 minute, then 2 minutes. So the sentence structure of that is so much more unique. There's texture involved in that. Sorry, I just got a phone call. I edited it. Let's continue. Yeah, I was mentioning how he used staccato. There's difference in variation in sentence structure. If you're constantly using compound sentences or listing sentences, it's going to get very boring. The texture of it's going to get very bland. So using staccato, 1 minute, then 2 minutes, that's really stood out to me. Let's see what else.
You see, the part of China I grew up in was a rural village, and at that time, pre-industrial. When I was born, my village had no cars, no telephones, no electricity, not even running water. And we certainly didn't have access to modern medical resources.
So I think at this point, this is where he is giving more context, but I want to explain like why he's doing it in a way that I'm happy about. He's not complaining necessarily, right? He's not whining. He's not moaning, right? He's just trying to provide context in a very mature kind of way. I understand why, in this case, my mom set my hand on fire. We grew up in a pre-industrial village. It was kind of the way things were. So the way he explained that, no negativity, no complaining, no whining, but still showcasing the challenge and the hardship in this circumstance. That was beautifully done.
There was no doctor my mom could bring me to see about the spider bite. For those who study biology, you may have grasped the science behind my mom's cure. Heat deactivates proteins, and a spider's venom is simply a form of protein. It's cool how that folk remedy actually incorporates basic biochemistry, isn't it?
So I love how he ends that point there with a rhetorical question, isn't it? He also pops off with the IQ here. He connects this cultural notion, his life upbringing, pre-industrial situation, but also incorporates his biochemistry knowledge. Heat deactivates protein. And so he's showing the meshing of two worlds, the old world in which he grew up in and the new scientific knowledge-based world that helped him to understand what such centuries-old practice for whenever a person got a spider bite would be treated with. So ending that with an introspective question, isn't it? I thought that was really nice.
I'm a PhD student in biochemistry at Harvard. I now know that better, less painful, and less risky treatments existed.
Great sense of humor. Great sense of humor. I think intelligence and humor are very much correlated. I think that if a student can show a good dash of humor, not overly so, not crude, but a nice little mature little touch of humor, always a powerful IQ signal to me. IQ and EQ, I'd say.
So I can't help but ask myself why I didn't receive one at the time. 15 years have passed since that incident. I'm happy to report that my hand is fine. But this question lingers, and I'll continue to be troubled by the unequal distribution of scientific knowledge throughout the world.
Oh, that's beautiful. I continue, the question still lingers, and I continue to be troubled by the unequal distribution. Do you see how his life experience, his personal experience, now is showing that his mind has evolved into a much bigger meta, that his EQ is just exploded at this point?
We have learned to edit the human genome and unlock many secrets of how cancer progresses. We can manipulate neuronal activity, literally with the switch of a light. Each year brings more advances in biomedical research, exciting, transformative accomplishments. Yet, despite the knowledge we have amassed, we haven't been so successful in deploying it to where it's needed most.
Oof. Love the juxtaposition. He has two juxtapositions at this point. The first juxtaposition is technology to solve, like to cure spider's bite without that much pain and firing up the hand. It existed at his time. Why didn't I receive it? So the first juxtaposition. Then he goes broader, more outwards, more EQ about the world and the problems that we still have yet to solve as a community, as a global community. And he talks about the juxtaposition of how we have all these amazing innovations, and yet so little of it trickles down to the places that need it most. That juxtaposition, that the paradox of the things he sees in this world, I think that just shows me his EQ and his IQ.
According to the World Bank, 12% of the world population lives on less than $2 a day.
I love this, guys. A cool technique, and I don't want you all to use it and use it for every single essay, but every now and then a really cool technique is to mention a stat. So let's say I was helping another student. Let's say that you are helping students learn English. It's a very typical prompt number 7, community, how have you served your community essay. I've been tutoring English to immigrant students. One of the things that you can do to spice that up is to put in a statistic for that. How many students in the United States today are in ESL? I don't know the number. Is it 10%? I don't know, 20 to 15%? I don't know what the exact number is. But imagine if you looked up that stat and then talked about it from that bigger picture point of view. Do you see how that shows that macro view, the bigger picture meta? The IQ becomes much more impressive to me when you can sometimes reference a stat that is fitting for your situation.
Malnutrition kills more than 3 million children annually. 300 million people are afflicted by malaria globally. All over the world, we constantly see these problems of poverty, illness, and lack of resources impeding the flow of scientific information. Life-saving knowledge we take for granted in our modern world is often unavailable in these underdeveloped regions. And so, in far too many places, people are still essentially trying to cure spider bite with fire.
Oof. So it comes back in full circularity, back to the essay start, spider's bite. Many people in the world still trying to solve a spider's bite with fire. Ugh. I'm going to stop there. I think I wanted to just give a nice little snippet. Hopefully the impact of this is coming through. My intended impact is watch speeches. Speeches could give you so much juicy content, so much awareness of what you could say, what you could write. This is just one of thousands that I have. My other one that I normally show, I probably put a recording of that one too, the most astounding fact, and I'll break that one down next. But yeah, watch speeches. If you don't want to read essays, there's no excuse now. You can go on YouTube and you can listen to essay content. Alrighty guys, until next time.